Moore, Emmett, Levine, Gil, Mike, Rick. Nice to see you three.
Nice to be here.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's nice to see you three in the room together. It's been a long time for me to see you three on a couch. It's my first time in this beautiful studio. Gil, what a place. It's evolved incredibly, is my understanding. Metalworks, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, we're the heart of music recording, I guess, here in the Toronto and the GTA, and we get to see a lot of great artists coming through every day, every week, every month, and it's a lot of fun.
You guys in the same room together. Like I said, it's a pleasure to see you. What changed? Because there were, like all bands go through, some growing pains. But what changed and what made you come back together and start hanging out again?
Well, every year, Neil Dixon, the guy that runs Canadian Music Week, would sort of come at, I think, all of us and say, come on, why don't you come to our little event. He would have like a lunch where they give out music industry awards and stuff, and it's really just an excuse to have a party for those guys.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, and every year I would say no. And my younger brother got sick with cancer and went through that whole process of, examining his life from that perspective, and then sort of dumped it back on me and said, you carry around a lot of baggage. Why don't you try and do something about it? And so sort of out of respect for him and what he had to go through, I thought, I think I can find the courage to face these two goombas again. So that's how it started, and it allowed me to put a positive spin on something that was heavy duty, and that it's been a really nice thing. That that part of the legacy, the guys, the greatest hits album came out and there's a dedication of my brother on it. So at the heart of it, there was that.
Russell
Baxter Emmett. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Younger brother?
Yeah, 5 years younger than me. Yeah. He was a big Triumph fan.
Well, I applaud you for stepping up and bygones kind of thing.
Yeah, well, you have to spread the applause out three ways because it took an effort for everybody.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well done, boys. Is it a goal to make a Triumph record again? Come on, guys, I'm putting you on the spot because that's the question everybody has.
Yes.
Are they going to make another record? When are they going to tour? And why not if they're not?
That's three questions. You said it was just one.
We'll start with the first one. Now, let's start with the main one. Are you going to go back out on the road? You did the 2 festival dates. Why don't you do it? I suspect there would be an audience for it.
Well, there's a couple of issues about us going on the road. We investigated it after those 2 shows we played, and actually had some buildings on hold in Canada and the States, and then the economy went down south.
Okay, it's fixed.
Yeah, it's not fixed. It's not fixed. That's part of the problem. It's the economics of it are such that it doesn't make. I mean, I just Sting selling tickets for $5 or 7 cents or whatever, and every 2-for-1s everywhere. Concert tickets were way too expensive. I mean, the Eagles, I don't know how many thousands of tickets they gave away here in Toronto the other day. I heard it was 30,000 tickets were given away. But a $250 price tag, who needs to see the Eagles again?
So the economics of it are a challenge.
And also, we all have different lives. That's the other issue. Gil has a studio and a school and a young family. Rick has his career that's going on, and we need to, in order to do it, we all need to set aside the time to do it, because it's been 20 years since we really were Triumph, so to speak, and recording and touring. So it's not something we don't talk about. We do talk about it, but in typical Triumph way, it's when you ask the question, there is no plan, and there is no official plan at this point.
Wow.
Did I say that nicely?
Yeah, it's all right.
Was that all right?
Do you gentlemen have anything to add to that, for or against?
I think it's just where we're at in our lives. Like Mike said, that's the primary thing. I think, I don't think the economy's really got much to do with it, because you can scale a tour any way you want, right? You can make it, a low-fi tour or a high-fi tour, and budget your economics of your tour the way you see fit. Having said that, if we were to tour, we'd like to go back with, the same kind of show that we know our fans would expect, and our productions were particularly expensive, so it's not like we adopted the no frills style of touring that a lot of bands did later on. But I think more importantly, it's just about being in the right place at the right time in our lives, and being in the right headspace. And we're still, I think, getting getting off on the fact that we've become great friends again. We've got our friendship back, which was the most important thing. And the band is somewhat secondary to the friendship. At least that's how I feel. So trying some great set of memories for all of us. And if we go back out there and we decide to tour, it'll be a new adventure. It's kind of like Michael Cole's company, The Next Adventure. That's what I think of when I think of Triumph. If we do something else, it'll be The Next Adventure.
It's a bit of an anomaly to some when they think about how you broke out of all places, Texas early on, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where it started.
San Antonio. How did that come about?
It was a bit of a fluke, really. I mean, we had a record out in Canada, and Kiss FM down in San Antonio, there was two DJs. This was back in the days before corporate radio, and disc jockeys could actually pick records.
I pick all my own, by the way, for the record.
There you go.
But most don't.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So, well, you know what? It's starting to go the other way now, especially with net radio and stuff. And there's all this individualism now and styles, and so maybe it is going to go back that way, and that'll be kind of exciting. That's what I think music needs to revitalize itself a little bit. Is there needs to be more avenues for different artists to get their message out there, and more individual choices. So I forget where I was going with that question.
Couple of guys.
Joe, Anthony.
Oh yeah. Back to San Antonio, right? So this was before generic radio formatting, and they just picked our record up and went, "These guys are cool," and they gave it a spin because Rush had already started down in Texas, not much before us, and they went, "Hey, here's another band from Toronto. Let's give these guys a shot." And before you know it, they were playing a record like the national anthem, and there was a show that they had booked with Sammy Hagar was the headliner, and the Runaways with Joan Jett was the middle act, and Yesterday and Today from a hard rock band from LA was the opening act at Municipal Auditorium. And Kiss was playing their first ever headline gig at Madison Square Garden the same night. They needed a support act, and they tried to book Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar bailed out. I guess, again, this is back in the Wild West when bands did this kind of stuff. Bailed out on the promoter, and they said, "Do you guys want to come down here and just take over the show?" We went, "What do you mean? You can't take over a show? People have already bought tickets to see Sammy Hagar." "No, we don't think anybody's going to want a refund. If you guys come down, we think that maybe a few," but sure enough, a few people got refunds, but for every person that got a refund, there was 2 people buying tickets. The next thing you know, the thing was sold out. So we come down here, these 3 hicks from Canada, and we got a sold out show in a legitimate concert venue. And they booked us in Corpus Christi, I believe, in Austin. And we just kind of fanned out from there and started to break in the other markets, and that's how we got our wheels on, really.
And every time you made a record, they wanted you to come back.
Well, yeah, but we started working in other states because we went, you know what? If it works in Texas, it's going to work anywhere. So we started realizing there were pockets. Well, Louisville, Kentucky was one of the very first cities that just seemed to be a natural for Triumph, and Chicago and Indianapolis weren't far behind. Pittsburgh, and it just started to go one city at a time. Before you know it, we were just it just started to be like a big game board, and we just started to spread out.
Cream, Rush, Jimi Hendrix, The Experience, Band of Gypsies, the Power Trio. Did one of those influence you to become a 3-piece, or was it something way more practical? Why a trio? It's pretty rare, though.
It was economical.
When Mike and I were talking about the band before it existed, we pretty much decided on a 3-piece band. ZZ Top was big, or starting to become big at the time. I don't know if Mike ever thought about ZZ Top. I always liked ZZ Top. I don't know if it, there was some sort of, subliminal effect from the fact that I like ZZ Top, but it just seemed like a good idea.
Musically, what's the greatest thing about having a trio as opposed to a foursome?
Well, arrangements are relatively easy and straightforward to sort of work out, and there's an economic value to it that and it's the smallest democracy that can exist. You're going to always be able to
keyboard
arrive.
players. Maybe that was something to do with it. I don't know. But
Good luck with the Institute and the studio. Not that you need luck, but all the best with it.
thanks.
And the same with you at Humber.
Thank you.
And the same with you at... What's next?
Jamaica Beach.
What's
Jamaica.
next? You've got this. Jamaica's next.
Jamaica's next.
You've got Triumph's greatest hits. You be sure to call me and tell me if you're going to get out on the road and do select dates. At least do Canada. I saw you do the Ride for Sight a couple years ago. It was great, but I missed these guys.
Yeah, I miss them too. Every now and then. Like, I often think I should just call them and say, well, you know, but they won't come. Like, if I say, come on, you got to come down to Coburg this weekend, they'll go, forget about it. That's way too far.
I'm gonna come surprise.
I'll need a giant golden carrot, you know. Come on, boys.
Yeah, I'm gonna surprise you.
Yeah, we're gonna show
I'm just
up
not
on
gonna tell
that.
you when.
Yeah.
All right.
Really
Be a
take you by
surprise.
surprise.
Fair enough.
Nice to
Yeah,
see you.
Nice to see you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Hey, Gil.
Cheers.
Ah! Thanks.